Content warning. The film we are about to review contains torture, suicide, deicide, public execution, themes of antisemitism, themes of transphobia, themes of ableism. By continuing to listen to this podcast, you expressly agree to hear blasphemous and sacrilegious statements. We're keeping the Christ and Christmassacre by beating the Christ out of Christmas as we review Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ on this most holly jolly episode of Loathsome Things, a horror movie podcast. I am your horror host Josh, and with me in the desert is the anti-host John. John, how are you feeling after watching this movie?
Papa! Papa!
Adonai!
Adonai! I'm feeling, pretty good. That movie, I've never watched that movie. I've avoided it like the plague, but, I'll be honest, it's a lot better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot.
It's a lot. It is one of the most gruesome films I've ever seen.
Yeah, which is why we picked it for this. Like, it's an absolute gore fest. It did not sell itself or market itself as a horror film. So I feel we can probably go easy on judging it on that criteria because it wasn't attempting to be a horror film. It was just using the things that horror movies use to do something.
To save humanity.
Yeah, from itself. Itself.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
to pull the biggest fast one of all time on Satan.
Oh, yeah, that is, Satan, she's, whatever, transphobia is right there in it, right in the intention of it, too.
Oh, baby phobia, just right up there.
Oh, man, aren't people with any sort of physical abnormality just actually evil?
Movable, like, living nose boogers, just all over the place.
Oh, man. Bad teeth, you are going to hell.
Exactly.
I want to call it out that Jim Caviezel had to wear an enormous nose prosthetic for the entire filming of this movie. For what reason, one might ask? Who can say?
Who can say? But of all the effects, that was the worst effect in the movie, except for his eyes.
Yeah, why was that thing going on with his eye where, like, also it made the hair around his eye glow? Like, if he had, like, some of his bangs dropping down into his eye line, they also glowed green with, I guess he has The Shining?
He has CG eyes.
Yeah!
Caviezel has blue eyes, and so in order to give him the piercing eyes of Jesus, they digitally gave him brown eyes instead of just doing contacts.
Yeah. But then also sometimes, did you see it where sometimes his eyes glowed green whenever he... Yeah. But I don't know why.
I don't either. I forgot to look that little nugget up.
I'm sure
I had to look up why...
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not a Christy dude, but I had to look up why. I was like, why passion? They didn't seem. I mean, he's a pretty passionate dude, but passion, of course, in Latin means suffer.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I didn't know
so I was
that.
Like, okay.
Yeah, and so it's commonly referred to as a passion play, and I really like Mel Gibson's intention with this. His intention was, alright, so everyone does passion plays. There's passion plays out the wazoo. Passion plays have literally been fueling the extermination of the Jews for centuries, but I want to do something different. I want to really rake it over the coals, as it were. And it's cool that he wanted...
No doubt.
Yeah. I thought it was cool that he did he was like, we're going to play up the violence. We're going to really make this be about the fleshy bodily suffering of some guy. And that was really cool. Other creative choices he made, not so cool. Some of them were just like downright anachronistic, like the use of Latin. That was not happening, but it definitely the choice of linguistics in this movie was explicitly to create three sides: the good Jews speaking Aramaic, the bad Jews speaking Hebrew, and the innocent bystander Romans, who will be the future of the only good church on earth, speaking Latin. Great.
Yep. Had to throw a couple guards in there that saw the error of their ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Even like the languages used on his little placard that they hung above him on the cross, those are like obviously not the right languages for that situation, because everyone be talking Greek up in that bitch.
Correct.
Yes. So, yeah, I think for the most part, we could just go ahead and say there were a lot of anti-Semitic choices made on behalf of one Mel Gibson, the guy that yelled at a police officer about how the Jews are ruining everything, who is the son of a man who is so against the Jews that he believes that the Pope is invalid ever since Vatican II, and therefore the seat of the Catholic Church is left absent, and that there is no valid Pope at the moment because of all of that not hating the Jews enough business. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty out there.
Yeah.
Like you blame an entire belief system for the death of your Lord who was a Jew.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. Everyone
he was a good one.
Yeah. Everyone involved was a bunch of Jews. And, except there were some Samaritans and some Romans, and, also, maybe the Bible was racist against Samaritans?
Yeah, I know, what was that about? I don't know, it's weird. But, hey, they patched it up, and then they unified around, their common hatred of Muslims.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. We can at least stomp those guys out.
Let's not talk about the Epic of Gilgamesh.
No. So back in 2004 when this movie came out, the Anti-Defamation League was super hey, please don't do stuff to make anti-Semitism stronger in America, and he just would not return their calls, and here we are almost 20 years later, and Kanye West and Donald Trump and some guys, I don't know,
certainly fueled by that fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay because this movie is going to have a sequel.
Yeah, thank God this movie gets a sequel.
That's what the world's been clamoring for.
Oh, what a good time for it, too. You know what I feel will really be good? What if we just gave Mel Gibson 20 years to go crazier and think about it? And then in this political climate, let's get him to direct the next part of Jim Caviezel's story. Jim Caviezel struck by lightning during the filming of this movie, and then turned into was already maybe not entirely on his rocker, but now believes that probably the Jews are draining the blood of children and using the special parts of the blood to stay alive forever or something. That old hat.
Yeah, that's just science.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't argue with Brother Jim.
Yeah. Deal Neflas Bison.
Brother Jim, the meta god.
Oh, man. But, enough about the things behind the movie. The movie itself, kind of neat, especially if you're a horror person and you like practical effects.
Yeah.
Or CGI effects. There's a weird marriage of practical and CGI effects in this movie that are done to fantastic use.
Yeah.
This movie came out just before torture porn exploded onto the scene, so you can really tell that it was pumped and primed and ready to go. Also, before the new French Extremity was really going.
Yeah.
This came out years before Martyrs, so it's there.
It definitely kind of in its own way, set the stage for the extreme that was going to visually assault the planet in the horror world. Yeah, that's true.
Yep. Oh, God.
It's it's funny because he's a talented filmmaker. It's as far as films go, it's a pretty cool film. I mean, he chose to, shoot in foreign languages, maybe not the actual languages being spoken,
Yeah.
but not English. And that's kind of interesting. And but just as far as the way the film flowed, I mean, it's for a film that's 2 hours long and basically is just a movie of a dude getting whipped. It moves pretty quickly.
It does. I will say his timing, like, because he's focusing on, like, all of the flogging and the crucifixion, he makes that the timeline of the movie, but he also wants to squish a bunch of other nonsense in there, so this movie is abusive with the flashbacks.
Yes, it is. That's true. That is a little bit abusive with the flashbacks. And by little bit, I mean a lot.
Yeah, a lot. Like at first you're like, oh, that's a neat little flashback. Oh yeah. Another flashback. Okay. We're flashing back to the same flashback as before. Oh, okay. So
yeah, it was a bit much.
Is there anything else we should go over before summarizing it in fewer than 500 words?
Kudos to Argentina for winning the World Cup.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. I don't understand how football works, and the only broadcast available to me was in Spanish.
Yep.
That was a great game, though. We both just, like, hustled over to our computers after watching the game that didn't finish until, like, 2 minutes before our recording schedule.
Yeah, literally. And as any of you who followed it know, it ended up going to penalty kicks, which is what happens if they get through all the extra time and everything, and it's still tied. Each team has a chance to take 5 penalty kicks, best out of 5. First team to get to a certain whatever. So France won. It was very exciting. So
yeah, except Argentina.
Except that Argentina won.
Yeah.
Adonai.
Oh, yeah. No, that game was awesome. I don't know soccer very well, so to me it seemed like Argentina was way better than France, and France just got lucky about 3 times. But it could have been not that. I really hate the penalty kickoff as the game ender. Like, it's good because at least something's happening, which a lot of a soccer game is nothing happening. It's just, like, I don't understand why they kick the ball all the way back to the goalie. Like, I don't know what that's about. And I also don't know why anytime any single one of them gets even the littlest love tap, they fall down like they've been shot.
Definitely a facet of the game that's grown completely out of control. And needs to be dealt with. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, like you get like grazed barely across the forearm, and then you have to breathe grass for the next 5 minutes. I know. I don't get that.
I was, as a kid, I played soccer. Certainly wasn't on a world class level.
No.
Got kicked in the shins many, many times. Had my ankle stepped on. Had my crotch kicked. All of those things. I never rolled on the ground for 5 minutes, ever. Had cramps, like hamstring cramps. I still was able to get up.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, and those guys, there were a few where I was like, oh, that looks like that could kind of hurt. But maybe it's because we watch, American football, and it's like, oh, I just saw that guy's bones break in half.
Yeah.
Where these guys are like, yeah, well, you poked me in my elbow, and now I have to cry in the dirt.
I think there's a lot of different reasons why they do it. Sometimes they do it to delay the game, sometimes they do it to catch their breath. I mean, it's sometimes they're actually hurt, but I think a lot of that is when you're running so much, any excuse you can get to take a breather.
That's true, yeah.
It's like, oh man, no, my ankles still hurt. Just give me a minute.
Ooh, nice grass.
By the way, this grass is really nice. If you ever get down here.
I didn't know y'all had grass like this in Qatar. Yeah, this is good.
Correct.
Yeah, no, it's tiring to watch that. It's, those guys are just constantly running full tilt. I love, though, like, in other games, in order to take a breather like those guys do, they have to stop the clock, and in this game, they've all just agreed, like, alright, guys, here, let's just, like, kind of, like, boot the ball around for a second. Okay, alright, we're good.
And then they add extra time anyway, which it seems so arbitrary. In the World Cup, they were adding like 10 minutes on the end of the game. But nobody had really gotten injured or anything. Like, the game was never delayed for 10 minutes. Why are you adding... Are you just having so much fun? Yeah, fuck it, 10 more, fuck it.
I will say it was nice that there were so few commercials. Like, there were so few opportunities to shoot commercials in there. I was like, hell yeah, let's do this to baseball.
Yeah, no kidding. That was great. By the way, also, one of the announcers was Argentinian. That guy at the end who sounded like he was crying was because he was crying.
Nice. Is he the guy calling goal?
I don't think he's... Excuse me. I don't think he's him. I think he... I think he's like the color commentator guy or whatever. I don't know. But he was hysterical. At one point he was even like, I'm sorry.
I'd also never encountered this goal calling guy's style where you're allowed to just take a breath in the middle and then do some more goal. Like, I thought the whole idea was that you're supposed to do like one big long goal all in one gasp, and then this guy was just like, oh, listen, am I right?
Yeah, he's probably tired too. It's been a long championship or whatever the fuck they call thing. I don't know.
Cup.
Yeah.
Copa.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah. It's good. World Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one soccer game I've watched in the last 4 years.
Hey, there you good for another 4.
Yeah. Those guys are super athletic. I'm exhausted.
I weigh 500 pounds.
Yeah. Oh, that game was terrible. I ran out of Cheez-Its.
Whoa.
Okay. All right. Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ.
That game was terrible. I ran out of Cheez-Its. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead. Carry on.
No, it's good. It opens the way a good horror movie should with a Bible verse describing violence. Thank you.
Oh, good.
We see Jesus having a sad time in a moody forest a la Lord of the Rings while his buddies take a nap. Elsewhere, Judas gets shame-paid 30 silver points by a gathering of wizards. A wormy-nosed Satan tries to convince Jesus not to do some alluded-to craziness. Her pussy snake slithers toward him and he stomps on it. Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Then we see Judas and Jesus have a really sweet romantic kiss scene, and then Judas's homophobic military buddies attack. An ear is gorily lopped off, but Jesus slaps that bad boy back on there, no problem. Jesus is then led away in chains. He spots Judas under a bridge like a troll, and his eyes do that glowy green thing. And then for a second, Judas is chased by a scary ghost.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then we get a flashback to that one time that Jesus invented the table and chairs. Awesome.
He was a carpenter.
He was such a carpenter. They're like, oh, a table all the way up here? This is silly. Then Jesus is brought before the wizards. He is accused of a bunch of stuff and then does a heresy. Peter then denies knowing Jesus 3 times, and we flash back to Jesus telling him he would do that. Great. Judas is then chased by demon children out of the town until he hangs himself with a rope that he found on a maggoty camel corpse in the desert. We're introduced to Pontius Pilate and his wife, who just won't shut up about some nightmare she had last night. Pontius interviews Jesus and determines that he should be sent to a really cool party at Herod's place. Herod says Jesus isn't guilty, sends him back to Pontius. Pontius then does some political theater and commands Jesus to be tortured but not killed. The part of that is they does this whole like, all right, do you want me to release Jesus or this guy Barabbas, who is a horrible murderer? And they call for Barabbas. This is the political theater part, and it kind of bothers me because if you read the Bible as someone that has read like any other history book in the rest of your life, you're like, oh, that guy was like a political dissident that like probably killed a Roman dude at a protest or something. But in the movie, he's like a giggling, crazy murder maniac.
Yes, a brown-toothed, just maniacal goon.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's all lascivious, so they like let him go. It's like, really? You're gonna let this guy go?
Part of the accusations at this movie is the fact that Pontius Pilate is historically known to be a horrific tyrant, and in this movie he's like the cool white guy that didn't want to do the bad thing. Also in the Bible, he's kind of portrayed as the semi-heroic white guy that didn't want to do the bad thing, but the books that describe that were written like 35 years later in a different political climate, and that definitely didn't have anything to do with any of this.
No, because this is the word of God.
Yeah, God word.
Yeah, that changes.
Yeah.
That's all right.
It's good.
Don't worry about it. Also, by the way, washing your hands in the Bible, really kind of a chill experience. Just bring over a little bowl of water and kind of splash it over your hands a little bit, and then you're done. You've washed your hands. So,
oh, yeah. And I mean, water, that's just if you're poor. If you're wealthy, it's just some oil. Just rub some extra virgin on them things, and they're good to go.
Lube up, clean.
Yeah, just start touching stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, what's that? I'll eat it. With these. We then get a very extended sequence of Jesus being flogged by joyful Roman soldiers with some really top-notch makeup effects. One of the things they did was they like fucked up his... He was in makeup for like 6 hours a day. And so they didn't want to do like shitty CGI, so what they did is they put in the makeup effects of the wounds and covered them with CGI, and then as the whip went over the spot, they dragged the CGI off of it so that it would just appear, which is fucking great. Like, 2004, great job. It
looked really good. It was really well done. Yeah, it's apparently took 10 hours to get that fucking makeup on, and then there were days where they'd get the makeup on, and then the weather would go shit, and he would, like, go to bed in full makeup.
Yeah.
I don't know why he developed a Jesus complex. I can't imagine.
Yeah, do that. And yeah, part of the thing is to get the makeup right, they had this special chair for him where he was like sitting on basically a fancy bicycle seat, and he had these little like armrests up above his shoulders, and so he would just sit like this for hours while they applied the makeup all over his body. So he's already doing like the Jesus pose and like probably losing sensation in his hands. That's how you prepare someone to join QAnon.
Yeah, they put that guy through the ringer, man. He got pneumonia up on the cross and dislocated his shoulder with the fucking thing and started believing dumb shit. I mean, he really like
that dude did not stand a chance.
He really didn't.
It's great. I think it was this year that I realized that Jim Caviezel and Henry Cavill aren't the same person.
I know, it's tough. Yeah. It's still tough, even when you know.
The struggle is real.
Oh, did you catch that, like, a large number of the cast and crew converted to Catholicism after they made that film?
Oh, man. Did you catch that there's controversy about whether or not the Pope said something about the movie?
That is so ridiculous. I know. Check the emails.
Yeah. Read His Holiness's emails.
I was just like, really? Come on.
I did not see that about the conversion thing. That's crazy.
There was a Muslim that converted. There were, people, like, there was an atheist, apparently, that converted. I'm like, what a bunch of pussies, man. You guys make a fucking movie and that's your selling point?
Man, just stay on an abusive film set for a few weeks with Mel Gibson and you'll do anything to get away, including convert to Catholicism.
Jim Caviezel was struck by lightning for our...
Jim Caviezel, and another guy, I think it was, one of the other cast members, they both got struck by lightning, and people were like, oh, wow, but they're fine.
Yeah. That's what happens when you stand on top of a fucking hill with a giant cross.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently it was really cold, and the wind was blowing hardcore the entire time, so yeah, the whole time he was up there, he was just, miserable.
Yeah. I got pneumonia.
Yeah. Fuck all of that.
Jesus,
Let's make
man.
a sequel.
Yes.
Okay, so the flogged by Roman soldiers. We see Satan in the crowd with a hairy-backed Antichrist baby. Great. We see a flashback to Jesus doing sexy feet stuff with his favorite young men. Then the soldiers put a crown of thorns on Jesus, and then lots more flashbacks on flashbacks within other flashbacks, alluding to other flashbacks. And then he's led out to be crucified. He's carrying the cross. There's a whole thing where he hugs it, and they're like, why are you doing that? And he's like, I don't know. And they're whipping him the whole time, so he keeps falling, and at this point, his skin, they flogged him so much that his skin looks like an old sheet of paper that you folded as many times as you could possibly fold it, and then left that in the back visor of your car for 3 years, and then pull it out and unfold it, and that's what his skin looks like.
His skin was very tired.
Yeah. So every time he falls down, we're seeing little bits of rock and sand get into his open wounds. They did really good job on making it where it's you can see the fat, the little layer of fat popping out from his skin, and then you can see all of his ribs sticking out. It looked delicious.
Yeah, the striations in his muscles when he was up on the cross was,
yeah. Great job. Great stuff. Then he's nailed to the cross. They really go in on that, including, they paid attention to the fact that they flipped him over and, hammered the end of the nail in, and it's, bleeding, and you're like, oh, that probably didn't hurt as much as the rest of it.
Yeah, I just kept thinking, at this point, this guy would have, would it even be considered pain anymore at that point? He would have just been, that was an amount of abuse that I've never seen anyone take in any movie or TV show. Yeah, I understand that's the point and all, but yes, he was. The idea is that he endured that as a man, and the fact that he even survived as long as he did should have converted everybody.
Oh,
but they're
yeah.
just hey, it just occurred to me that I personally think I whipped him 100 times,
yeah.
and. He doesn't look like he's doing good, dude, but, he's still alive.
Yeah. Did you hear that quip he told his mom? It was, deep. That dude's still thinking cool.
Also, come on, his mom is 70, and she looks great.
Dude.
That's a miracle.
She honestly probably was not 70. She was, probably 12 when she got pregnant?
Yeah. I know, it's wait a minute, what's going on here?
There is also a lot of business where, after the garden, Mary Magdalene and Mary, wake up in a bed together, and they're like, oh, where's our threesome buddy? It's just very confusing if you don't already know the story. But I will say, watching this movie without knowing the story would be way better. You'd be like, what the fuck is going on? This is awesome.
I love this time period. Also, nice sandals, bro.
Oh man, good sandals. All of the attire in here, those little head things where you can really see how coarse the fiber is. Good stuff.
I just love the fetishization of pain and blood. And they're wiping it up off the floor, when he's been originally scourged at the pole, and they're clinging these linens to them soaked in his blood, when Mary kisses his feet, or whoever the fuck kisses his feet at the end, and she's got blood all over her mouth. It's wow, you guys are fucking sick, man. What is wrong with you people? Dude,
yeah, Christians wear a cross. That's the thing. every Catholic church has a crucifix. A lot of them have a fake Jesus up on it, like he's still on the cross. It's very weird, and it's so it's like a religion based around one dude's horrific death, and also they're all cheering for the time that we all die. So it's kind of a death cult, you know.
Yeah, it's the ultimate death cult, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dicks.
Let's see. Maybe the penultimate death cult. Nah. This section of the movie between him getting flogged and getting crucified, this is over a 2-hour-long movie, and a full at least hour of it is that.
Yeah.
Intermixed with tons of flashbacks to all of those times that Jesus was young and sexy, and you could really, really tell that the nose prosthetic wasn't the same tone as skin because the light shone through it wrong.
It really didn't work, did it?
It really didn't. Way better when it was gory and they could, like, make it look sweaty and dirty and bloody. It's like, oh, okay, that's a good prosthetic. But whenever he had to look handsome with the fake schnoz, it's just so weird.
It's like, what is with... I didn't realize Jimmy Durante was Jesus. Ha-cha-cha-cha!
There is a very unlovely scene where all of a sudden we're looking at the fucking hilltop from above, and the camera lens like warps, and then it turns out that it was a droplet of water, perhaps a raindrop, or one of God's own tears.
I know.
That falls to the ground and makes a big explosion of dirt. And apparently, like, Mel Gibson was very proud of it. I watched a video where he was like, yeah, they did a lot of stuff. That was one of, like, 3 CGI effects we did in the movie, and it really, really almost came out the way that I'd envisioned it.
I have to say, it took me out of it a little bit. It was so bad.
It's real bad. But man, people thought it was so good.
I know.
It's like one of God's tears.
Yeah, that was weak. And then that was immediately followed by the centurion poking Jesus to make sure he's dead, and then getting the, like, blood cocky scene where it's just like...
I believe in the Bible it's called streams of living water, because then it started as blood, but then it came out as pure water, and that dude was like then baptized in the cum of Jesus or something. I don't know.
Consecrated in the Lord's load.
Oh yes. What a great song title.
Oh my god.
They take his body down, and the camera zooms in on the bloody crown and nails, and then it goes and looks at Mary, and then it comes back to the bloody crown and nails and zooms in on it some more, because Christians are super into the stuff.
Yeah.
Like, man, if you climb up these stairs on your knees and kiss each one or whatever, maybe you'll get to see something that someone said was one of these nails or something.
It's like, okay.
Then Mary looks at the camera accusingly. Then we see the tomb with the big round rock roll open. There's a burial shroud that suddenly empties, like Obi-Wan Kenobi is in it on the Death Star. And then we see Jesus' naked ass as he stands up and walks out of the tomb. All of his skin and everything is intact, just big ol' holes in the palms of his hands, which really makes me wonder, because you see that a lot in all of these, that like, oh yeah, he's fine, he just has holes in his hands. It's like, well, what happened to all the other shit they did to him? If he's still got holes in his hands, his whole body should be all ripped up, and he should be the bloody, dripping avatar of God.
Why would he even have holes in his hands? What's the point of having stigmata at that point when he's transmogrified? What's the word?
Yeah.
Where he's transitioned over from, like, humanity, like, he's no longer human. He's gone to his next form. You know,
Yeah.
It's like his next form with big rubbery latex holes in his hand.
It's so that he can't scoop up water anymore.
Drink from, wait a minute, hold on, drink from a top bucket.
Yeah. Here, I'll dip my hair in the water and then let you drink it with your feet.
Yeah, chew on this sponge. That was my favorite.
Yeah.
That was an act of mercy.
And I want to say that in the Bible, it's not even a sponge with water, it's like vinegar or something.
I feel bad. Give him some vinegar.
Yeah, give him a vinegary sponge.
Give him some vinaigrette.
and that's The Passion of the Christ. 2004, Mel Gibson.
That's it. Yep, that's it. And it's every bit as gory as they said it would be.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's intense. You see him, they're basically like just whipping him constantly, even after they've finished flogging him. Part of that flogging was they've got him like chained up to this thing and they're hitting him on the back and the side. There's this great scene that they focus on where the cat of nine tails like sticks into his ribs and then they have to just yoink it off and a chunk of him comes with it.
Yeah, that was really impressive.
And then they flip him over so they can go after that belly like a kitty cat.
Yeah, I love that like numbers are always so important. Like, there's the 30 pieces of silver and the 39 lashes and the this and that. But then, yeah, okay, he was lashed 39 times plus like 1,000. I mean, they whipped him perpetually all the way up until even when that fucking Simon dude came in, they were still whipping him. It's like, okay, whatever. Yeah, that was weird. I don't know. Also, by the way, Veronica, the lady that comes out and tries to give him the drink, she's one of the lead characters in season 2 of The White Lotus.
Oh, nice! I need to watch that show.
It's fucking great.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna watch it then.
It's really good, really good. That one takes place in Italy. She's Italian.
Yeah, a lot of Italians in this movie.
Yeah. Some of the Romans looked very Roman, like Pontius Pilate. Like, I don't know where they found that dude. Like, they went to the Roman store and spent top dollar for that guy.
Yeah. They asked some dude, hey, do you know where we could get a breastplate that has, like, indentations for all of the abs? And he was like, oh, why, yes, right here. And they're like, wait, let me see your face. You.
Is your name Giuseppe by any chance?
What are your feelings on football?
Do you hate the Jews?
Yeah, just not an aggressive amount, just enough that you'd really like to,
like the bad ones, wink.
Oh my god, so I was Googling about the practical effects in this movie, and one of the things I found was a website that is a forum that is for like Catholic alternate society or whatever, where like they even have like a whole section devoted to Catholic hip hop. And the post in question was someone saying that the effects in this movie were so good that it should get nominated for an Academy Award, and the very first reply to it was someone talking about how the Jews will not let that happen because of Hollywood and the Jews, and how they hate Mel Gibson and Christianity. There's like reply number 1.
But the movie was nominated for Academy Awards.
Well, they hadn't gotten there yet, John.
Oh, okay. Best movie that makes the Jews look bad.
There's also a really good episode of South Park.
Oh, yeah. Leave it to those guys.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, that was this movie, and it totally did fuel anti-Semitism in America.
It did.
When I watched this movie for the first time, I was a very confused and emotionally distraught young Christian man, and I went to it with a church group, and afterwards, after we all exited the theater, people were crying and hugging and praying together and thanking each other for sharing the experience of Christ's death.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
Man, I was thinking about it beforehand, like before we started recording, and I was like, I have never been a religious person. So of course that would mean I've never been a Christian. I'm not currently a Christian. I don't know what's going to happen, but I have a pretty good guess that I probably will not become Christian.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of fascinating things about it, but Christianity also got like all the, it got like all the juice, like all the money, all the power, all the, so they get to write whatever, they get to tell whatever great fucking story they want, and the rest of the world just has to kind of like, fall behind in their dust. And I don't know, man. I think that like of all the religions, it just seems like Christianity is like, it's just so fucking arrogant the way it's practiced here in this country. I mean,
yeah.
If you really just take the story for what it is, and I don't mean the story of the movie, but the actual story of Jesus as best as you can decipher it from the 8 billion different versions of a story that was never written down. It's compelling and it's fascinating, and like the whole mystery of the Trinity and stuff, that stuff is really interesting because you can explain it, you can have an apologetics guy explain it, but you can't ever fully grasp it, which is, of course, part of the point, like the mystery of it. You can't ever fully know God or whatever. Great. But that stuff's fascinating. But at the same time, when you grow up in a country like this where it's like, it's just shoved down your throat everywhere you go. I mean, you and I had spent time working together in a Baptist church / school / microculture all its own. And, I mean, Jesus. Yes? It's just...
My son?
It's such a... I don't know, man. It's if you grow up, like for me, if you grow up and you don't grow up in a religious household, it's weird because, you meet people all the time who want you to feel bad because you don't think like they do or whatever. And it's like, there's a lot of people who don't think like you do, dude. You think, calm down.
Yeah.
And also, how Christian are you really? Like, how forgiving and loving and love your enemies. It's easy to love the people that you care about, but it's very, very difficult to love your enemies. That was part of why the fucking guy died, and they still don't get it. Like, yeah. I get it, and I'm not Christian. What is the big deal?
Yeah, no. It's fascinating to me that Christianity has become the religion of capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's antithetic. Like, I could just imagine, like, if that Jesus dude, whatever parts of that story are true in any way, if he then saw, like, oh, this is what they did with my suffering, with my execution, is they turned it into this, that would really suck.
I think part of my problem is, like, one of the problems I have with Christianity is that I feel like it's dead. And so people are reliving this dead thing over and over and over. And all these stories about, but all this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And it never fucking happens. So it's like, it would make more sense to me if you had a religion that was alive, that was like, that grew as we grew. Not because it's fundamentally changing at its core or whatever, but because things change.
Mm-hmm.
So like as the world changes, it's a lot fucking harder to justify the Old Testament, let alone the New Testament. It's like,
oh yeah,
I don't think you could ever justify the Old Testament. It's a fucking nightmare.
No, it was literally some like a tribe of crazy desert people came up with some mythology in a cave. And then later, some other dudes were like, all right, maybe we should change it. And it's just, yeah. I really like the Greek pantheon and stuff, because like part of it is that, well, like, we don't really super know what the gods want.
Right.
We're trying to figure stuff out. And also the gods keep changing their mind. Yeah, let's go with that. Horrible things happened there too. It's bad. Any system set up to manipulate humans for the benefit of the powerful is bad.
Yeah.
But at least that's more interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no problem with the concept of some sort of higher form of intelligence that's completely beyond our understanding. I have no issue with that. I mean, how could I? I can't argue it away. But there's all kinds of things I can't argue away either, so I don't spend a lot of time sweating it. But when you start to build this whole hierarchy around it, and then there's all these fucking rules like catechism and, but then there's like offshoots of Catholicism that, then there's Vatican II and there's all the, it's like, hey, you guys don't really have your shit together, do you?
No.
You got some cool carved pillars in the Vatican with those weird textures and shit that look all occultish and weird, but you don't really know what you're doing.
Yeah. Those guys the top skill in Catholicism is you keep your followers ignorant and you hire the best architects.
Yes, the pomp of the Catholic Church knows no bounds.
And I mean, the same is true in Protestantism. Think of like the mega churches, like the fucking Osteen family, where they found, what was it, like 600,000 stolen dollars were hiding in a bathroom wall. Fuck that. That is, you need to not.
Yeah, the largest Protestant church in the United States is a converted basketball stadium.
Basketball and minor league hockey stadium.
That's right. Thank you, Lord, for this Arrows game for which I am about to receive. Whenever I pass through Houston to catch some minor league hockey.
What is that? Some kind of Buffalo Speedway? I don't know.
Fuck that guy and his whole church.
Oh man, and his wife. She can also
that horrible
some
woman.
Things.
Yeah, they are horrible people. And Ted Cruz and his little Baptist school fucker.
Oh my god, his stupid little face on the graduation photo.
I still have it.
One day my whole family's gonna hate me.
And the rest of the country.
Yeah. One day I'm gonna publicly not be as good at Donald Trump at things.
One day I will literally be known for my body odor. Way to go, debate champion.
People will think of me as the store brand Marco Rubio.
Oh,
good.
Fuck you, Ted Cruz.
Yeah, fuck. So John, how would you, if you had to rate this movie on a scale of 0 to 5 loathsome things, how would you, and why?
This is a tough one. This was a tough one for me to rate because, like I had mentioned earlier, as far as movies go, just as cinematically, it was done pretty well. It's very early 2000-y. I have issues with that time period in film, particularly when you're talking about like CGI and stuff like that. He doesn't go too crazy with the CGI. The God's Tears raindrop thing was lame. The gore effects were incredibly well done, and I thought the performances were good. I thought Caviezel did a good job, although his nose looked ridiculous. That's true. It really did. And it was a little distracting, but I think I also have problems, like very serious issues with Mel Gibson and his whole personal interpretation of spirituality is a very ugly and angry and kind of hateful blaming kind of thing, and that makes me really uncomfortable when I'm watching a very intense, emotional 2-hour movie, knowing that it's the guy behind it has this particular view about it. He was wise enough to, confer with actual people who know stuff about religion, to get a more reasonable interpretation, not just some weird, wacky, extremist point of view. But taking all that stuff into account, it's hard for me to rate this movie too high because it's just not my thing. I'm not, I'm fascinated by religion, but I've never particularly found Christianity to be the most interesting one. So for me, it's like, okay, great. I'd love to see this kind of money and attention be thrown towards the story of Muhammad or something. Not Muhammad, because you can't show him, but, like...
Oh, that would be so good, though!
The Islamic faith... I mean, they don't even like the movie because, they consider Jesus a prophet, and you're not supposed to portray him either, so, it's crazy. But, I don't know, I'm going to give it... this one's tough for me. I'm kind of just, making it up, but...
It's okay.
I'm going to give it a 2.7.
Oh, well.
Under 3.
I forgive you.
Yeah, a little bit better than halfway, but I don't know. It's okay. What'd you give it?
I gave it a 0.0 on the 3. It's a 3. It's it obviously contributed to horror movies in a profound way.
That's true.
Not all good ways necessarily, but a profound way. They were already working on Saw when this came out, so it's not like Saw was inspired by this, but it definitely paved the way for that to become the success that it was. People, I guess this gave people an appetite for horrific torture.
I'd like to see more horrific torture in my films. What's that Saw movie that they were talking about?
What are some other ways that I could feel really good about seeing the human body mutilated slowly? But yeah, it's solid as a horror movie if you take away the unsavory inspirations behind it. It's interesting as a artistic attempt to retell a story. Mm-hmm. It had some really cool things going for it. That said, one of my grading criteria is how much I enjoyed it. I did not enjoy it at all.
Really?
It is real unpleasant. It was very unpleasant for me to watch, and also this is the fewest number of viewings I've given any movie that we've reviewed. I watched it twice because after the first time I was like, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and wait and then do the notes on the second one because I can't cope with this. It's
like I said, it's definitely one of the most intense portrayals of human suffering that I've ever seen on film. I mean, it's very realistic. I mean, they really nail it down. Like they really that subject is really driven across in an accurate way. Like you feel it. It's tough. If you're sensitive to that kind of stuff at all, this is not an easy movie to watch.
No, it's a rough one. Part of it is I feel like it could be a much better movie if it wasn't trying to be so capital F faithful.
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't trying so hard to be a movie to convert people to a belief in Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, I think it would have been a much better movie. To that point, I would say that I think they should definitely get someone to remake this movie. Maybe give it a slightly different name so it's not copyright infringement, but get Eli Roth to make a passion play and do this up, but no attempt at the God element. Let's go. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be. That would be actually really cool to see something like that. Because if you're a Christian, it's got to be a difficult project to absorb, because obviously Mel Gibson is problematic and his views are pretty fringe, and so there's that, and then there's the fact that this is a Hollywood depiction, which he apparently paid for out of his own pocket, which is insane.
He made it back. He made so much money.
Big, 370 million gross, I think.
Jesus.
That a Hollywood depiction of that story is that's not an easy thing to get across, and you have to have some kind of an ego to be able to make a movie like that and then make it be so serious. I mean, because if you think about that movie that's part of the problem with that movie, is that it's just so densely serious. There's very, very few moments of levity, and they're done in this maudlin way where it's interspersed with scenes of a man getting his ribcage exposed, and then you see him like being all nice with people and eat this as it's my flesh, and then you're seeing his flesh getting flogged off his ribcage. It's like, it's just kind of tough to watch that.
Yeah. I think the only joke in the movie was the time that he invented the table and chair, where then Mary pops a squat and she was like, "It'll never catch on."
So stupid. It's like, maybe humor's not a good idea here.
Yeah. And I mean, he did go into it. He was like, I'm going to take creative license with the story, and of course you have to do that. But then it was like, it's such this weird line that he was walking of trying to make it a creative interpretation versus trying to tell a story. And it's just such a strange audience for it, because a lot of people that watch it are a lot of people that are Christian don't read the Bible. And a lot of the Christians that do read the Bible, don't have English degrees or even did well in, middle school English classes and stuff. So there's not that element of critical analysis.
It's not an easy work to absorb by any stretch.
Absolutely. I went back and I read parts of especially the Pontius Pilate stuff, and there's a lot of subtlety in there that I never caught when I was younger. And so this takes the place of telling that part of the story for a lot of people, and that's a huge responsibility. And I don't think he did it with the super great intentions. I think he did it with all right, well, I'm going to show this part so that we check off, this isn't heresy. This is, technically Jesus did say forgive people and love your enemy. But I really want to get across the fact that you should hate the Jews.
Yeah, and there's just nothing lovable about his enemies. I've never seen people take such glee in making someone else not feel good. It's like, God, jeez, guys, what the hell? That one guy, that one main Roman guy who with his big gross mouth, who was just, kind of the head flogger, man, that guy was having way too much fun.
He was. I was surprised, I was like, that guy, obvious soccer goon. What, no? Roman legionnaire? Okay, I guess.
There was a lot of, there was people who came around sort of, like Simon, who didn't want to have anything to do with it. That's not my problem. Here, you carry the cross or whatever, and he's like, that's not my problem. And then he kind of comes around, and you can tell that Jesus is moved by it, and it's like, he's human, dude. People who aren't sick, who aren't demented, will feel that way. They don't necessarily believe that you're who you say you are. They're just human, and they feel bad for you because you're kind of suffering a little bit. I would help the guy carry the cross too, and I don't believe in that crap either, but I couldn't stand there and watch someone suffer like that.
Yeah, that was easily the best character in the whole movie, was like that dude. He was like, well, look, dude, I'm going to carry this cross, but people are going to think that I'm the bad guy. And so he's like, all right, I'm going to help this guy. Just remember, I'm a cool guy, you guys. And then at the end, he's like, man, really sucks to be that guy.
I'm free to go later.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for helping me get in my 10,000 steps.
Could you pass the word along that I was the good guy in this?
Yeah. They kept beating Jesus even when he was there. I wanted him to be like, excuse me, that got very close to my hand.
I'm doing you a favor, sir.
You guys. Also, big kudos on the construction of that cross. Out of all of the crosses I've seen, that one looked super rad.
It did. It was a real cross. I mean, it was super heavy. I know that Caviezel dislocated his fucking shoulder the first time they dropped it on him. It's just,
jeez.
If I was him, I'd be pretty upset. That guy almost died making that movie. There's no reason for that. That doesn't need to happen.
Maybe he wanted to, and he's a little sad that he didn't.
I'm a little sad that he didn't, because now he's back.
Oh!
Hey-yo!
He's back, and he's on your message boards.
Oh, man. That's the worst.
Oh, yeah.
Him and Ben Kingsley. Like, Ben Kingsley thought he was Gandhi after he made Gandhi, right? Didn't he have a hard time getting out of character?
I have no idea. That would really suck to have to be Gandhi. It's like, well, I guess I'm still on a hunger strike or whatever.
It's like, dude, you're not even Indian. How could you possibly think you're Gandhi? I think I might be Gandhi. Like, dude, you're not Gandhi. You're fucking British. Calm down.
You are so privileged. She's like, I don't think I'm going to be able to snap out of this until Sacha Baron Cohen licks my armpit or I lick his.
Oh, my God. Yes?
Good.
Sorry.
You rang?
So go watch The Life of Brian. That's what we're trying to say.
Yeah, go watch The Life of Brian. Go watch Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yes.
The Last Temptation of Christ. Any others?
That's it.
Year One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Tim LaHaye series, those are good.
Oh man, I was thinking about that. This movie came out like smack dab in the middle of Left Behind and the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah. That's pretty much what it is, isn't it? It's a Left Behind Da Vinci Code sandwich.
Yep, it is the flesh in the middle of that sandwich. Have you seen the Left Behind film adaptation starring Nicolas Cage?
No, but I think you've told me about its glories.
Yes,
Nicolas
it is
Cage. Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
See, and that is what we need. If Eli Roth were to direct an adaptation of The Passion of the Christ, it should be starring Nicolas Cage as Jesus.
Oh, man. That would be fantastic.
But like old, fat Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage from Pig as Jesus.
He dieted for your sins.
Fantastic. All right, so yeah, go watch other horror movies. Go watch a replay of the final minutes of the 2022 FIFA World Cup in criminally located Qatar, and do other good things. Only good things, please.
Yes, only good things. I don't know what I'm talking about, really.
Yeah,
but I'm sorry you all have to die.